This episode is for everyone who is trying to build something while also showing up somewhere else full time every single day. Tomorrow, I go back to work full time and I have a lot of feelings about it. Hello, my beautiful entrepreneurs. My name is Tabitha, and welcome to A Hot Mess Builds an Empire. I help day one entrepreneurs take that first terrifying leap into business ownership without completely losing their minds in the process. This channel is for the people who are standing on the edge of something really scary, but also equally just as marvelous, wondering if they are absolutely unhinged for considering the jump. Just a few housekeeping updates before we get started in today's episode. So, the Mess Hall launches on April 25th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am so excited for this. It is a community for entrepreneurs to just get together and swap war stories, hold each other accountable on goals that they have coming up, help teach each other things. I'm going to be hosting it with monthly themes, workshops, and I'm working on lining up some guest speakers to join us along the way. So I really hope to see you there. The next 3 sessions for it are going to be on Saturdays at 1 p.m., but then moving forward, they will be on Sundays. So, with that being said, Hot Mess Triage, effective immediately, is also going to be on just Sundays and Tuesdays. I'm really sorry about the inconvenience for this for anybody, but as I am going back to work full time, I need it to balance with my full time work schedule. So, that's something we're going to be talking about in this episode, and that's why those things are getting updated the way that they are. So, sorry about the inconvenience. I know Saturdays are usually a little bit better, but Sundays are usually helpful too because it's still the weekend and I'll still try to make it earlier in the day so it doesn't go late into the evening for those of you who work like the Monday through Friday 9 to 5 kind of thing. So for today's episode, I wanted to get real. Not that I'm not real about things that I talk about on here, but I want to talk about the fact that, I started this channel when I got into a really bad car accident back in on November 30th is when I got in the car accident. And I've been out of work this whole time just because I was failing my evaluations for balance. I was failing my cognitive evaluations. I had a concussion really bad. I hit my head really hard because my car had actually flipped. So I hit my head really hard and I had a concussion really bad. I have post concussive syndrome. Um, so there's a lot of things that I'm working through, and I finally got cleared to go back to work after over 5 months now. So I'm going to be talking about a lot of things in this episode, and it's one of those things where I talk a lot about my business. I talk a lot about how successful my business is and the momentum I'm gaining and how I took off for a couple years from being an entrepreneur and now I'm like diving back into it and all these things, but at the end of the day, I still have responsibilities and obligations such as my mortgage, such as making sure I have savings in the bank and you know, you don't plan for car accidents, right? You plan for maybe things to happen, but not necessarily that. So this wasn't in the plan at all, of course, to be in a car accident this bad, but the plan is eventually to now plan to be able to quit full time and full time work on my business. It's really weird because I've hard committed to YouTube and I have been posting every day, and if not, I post like twice a day. If I miss like a day, like I try to post every day. And I've recently re-entered social media with a new mindset to use it as a tool and not as this punishment for not getting enough engagement and all kinds of stuff. And I'm really starting to see momentum build. I'm starting to see clients come in. I'm starting to see sales regularly. And I'm starting to see a community build around what it is that I'm building. Even if it is small, it is still existing. It is still there. And it's it's really bittersweet to to have to go back to work right now because, obviously, like, I want to get paid my full paycheck because I've been on short-term disability, so I'm only getting 60% of my pay. So it'll be really nice to have a regular full paycheck again. But just seeing the momentum that's happening with my accounts, going viral the other day, which was so crazy. Um, just seeing things happening, it makes it really bittersweet to commit to going back to work full time. So, um, this is the timing is genuinely like a lot to sit with. And I think for those of you who are in similar situations where maybe you were like, I've know people who've broken their legs and started a blog, right? Um, and in that time, their blog did really well, but then they had to go back to work full time because even though the blog was doing well, it wasn't replacing the income they were making and stuff like that. And I think my feelings are valid about being nervous about going back to work, being anxious about going back to work, and I want to talk about that because I've been out of work for 5.5 months, and there's a lot of things that are going on. Um, a new manager off the street was brought in and replaced me in my department, and from what I heard, it was not a pleasant experience for my assistant manager, for my team, and that really bums me out because I spent a year and a half building a team based on communication, accountability, transparency, advocacy, and being a team. And to know that someone came in and kind of disrupted the flow of that, like whoever came in, I was so excited for them because I was like, this is a great team. This is a great assistant manager. Like your life is just going to be so easy because this team knows what it is that needs to get done. The assistant manager is basically the manager. Like she tells me what to do. You know what I mean? Like that's how good she is. And to hear somebody came in and was kind of a wrecking ball and then left, um, it makes me feel so bad for my team because these are good, hardworking people who just want to support their families. And it's one of those things that I know that when I come in, I'm going to have to be in mode immediately and probably do some damage control. So that's something that's weighing on me a little bit. Um, you know, my team deserves so much better, and that it just genuinely bums me out because we're talking about people here. I'm not talking about the numbers. I know I work in a warehouse and I deal with productivity and all that stuff, but I genuinely care about the people on my team, and it just bums me out that they had that experience, and it makes me feel really bad for them for that. So, um, I'm nervous about what I'm walking back into in terms of the second people see me, they're just going to be like, this happened, and I need this, and I need help with this. And I know they haven't had a manager for a while now. So I know they're going to need me right away. And it's not a matter of being needed, right? But the the biggest thing that I'm really nervous about, the biggest thing that I'm very anxious about is I had a really bad concussion. My memory was terrible for months. My ability to recall certain words, like even when I riff, you guys might know that I'm just kind of like, oh, what is it that I'm trying to say? My brain is still healing. I have post concussive syndrome. I have been diagnosed with that. And it's just one of those things where, for the last 5.5 months, my brain has been on my time and my brain has been on its own time. And now I'm about to be on my job's time. So I'm really nervous that I might not cut it. I deal with math and engineering and conveyance and productivity and rates, and, all these different departments are, it's cross-functional teamwork, right? So like everything is interconnected, and I'm really nervous that it's going to be a lot of stimulation, and I'm not going to be able to hack it. Now, I understand that there's going to be kind of a learning curve when I come back because it's been 5.5 months. I'm going to be a little rusty. I looked through some of my emails the other day and I saw that they introduced a new program, so I'm going to have to learn the new program. I know there's going to be a learning curve for things, and that's just natural. That's just a natural thing that happens, but um I am genuinely concerned that I'm going to go in there and my brain is not going to be able to keep up, and it's freaking me out a little bit. Because I have been on my time. I truly have. Like, if I feel tired, I go, "Oh, I need to rest. I need to heal. I'll take a nap. I'll come back to this later." If, something isn't working out in terms of my YouTube video, I stop it, I scrap it, and I come back to it later. And now, it's not going to be like that. I'm going to have to be a little more strategic with how it is that I'm spending my time with my YouTube videos, because I'm not going to have as much time to sit here and go like, "Oh, I got to scrap this. This isn't good." Like, I might have to stick with some things that I that don't hit the standard for me, right? So, um I'm just nervous about how my brain is going to work. I really am. And it took me years to get to this point, especially as a manager, but I leave my home stuff at home and I leave my work stuff at work. So when I walk in the doors at work, everything that is related to home is left at the door, because you can't fix anything about your home life while you're at work for the most part, right? Like, there's just nothing you can do about it for your shift. So why bring it with you? And then I feel the same way about work. Why bring work home with you? Why bring this baggage home with you if you can't do anything about it while you're at home? And but with that being said, I heard that there are some new managers over me who got promoted slash hired in, and there are new people on my team I'm walking into is all completely new managers. So my peers are completely new people I haven't met yet, and I'm really excited to meet them. I'm sure they're super cool people. Like, I'm going into this with positivity and hope and all the positive feels, right? But I'm a new to them personality, and I know what it's like to be in a team where you clash with people, like you personality clash with people, and it's a miserable working environment. So I'm a little nervous that, I'm walking into a dynamic that's kind of set up, and then I will go in and I will be changing that dynamic, right? As you naturally do. So, um, while I'm genuinely hoping for all good things, I also know that being in a miserable work environment, regardless of my philosophy of leaving things at the door when I come home, that's going to carry with me if I'm miserable at work. And that's going to impact my creativity. It's going to impact my stress levels, and it's going to impact my brain and healing and trying to be better about things, So I mean, and you guys who've been watching my videos know that obviously I'm a delight. So if anything happens, it cannot possibly be me. It cannot possibly be me, because I'm just wonderful. I'm cool. I'm good. I'm good. No, but I'm going into this with completely positive vibes and positive everything, but you get nervous. You're meeting new people. You're going to have a new manager. You're going to have new peers. You're going to have new people on your team in general. Like, it's a little, you get a little nervous that, we're human. We want to be liked. I want to be respected in my job. I spent a year and a half with a team where I feel like I earned their respect as much as I possibly could as their manager. Like, and I can only hope that that's still there when I come back. Um, and I can only hope that I still continue to prove myself and my worth, and that, my brain healing, my literal brain healing is not something that's going to be a hindrance. It's just going to be a slight learning curve, and maybe I'll work a little bit differently in the future. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. But I am allowed to be nervous. I am allowed to be anxious about these things. I'm human. I'm complicated. I'm allowed to want to still do a good job at my job, even if it's not something I want to do for forever. I am still allowed to want to be good at it. What I want to acknowledge, though, for my people who are like, well, what are you going to be doing with your business? Is it is going to switch to sort of a batching schedule. I hate batching, especially my YouTube videos, because honestly, like, I love doing my videos daily. I love that I get to show up and I'm just kind of like, I'm going to talk about this today. There's going to be a lot more planning involved. There's going to be a lot more time crunching involved. There's going to be a lot more folders involved on my desktop and things on my Airtable and just more organization because now, along with the commute and the hours that I work, there's going to be 60 less hours that I have available to me to create. And that is a chunk, guys. That's a huge chunk of time to not be able to do something. So, um, I plan on batching on my weekends, which are 3-day weekends. I'm very blessed for 3-day weekends. And then the time in between either me going to work or me coming home from work, I'm going to make sure that I have time in between there to try and do some creative work or some intentional journaling or setting things up for the weekend so it's a little more seamless when I batch. But, that's it's this whole thing is not a downgrade, it's just a restructuring, right? Like I'm not planning on taking any more than what I was already doing with less time. Like I don't want to overcompensate and be like, well, now that I have less time, I need to do more to show up more and do this and do that. No, I'm not going to do that to myself. Like that's just crazy. That's silly. I'm going to stick to what it is that I've incorporated in terms of bringing social media into my life again, doing my daily YouTube videos, and sticking to the blog posts that I've been casually writing, and my book. Oh my God, my book. So let's talk about the book. So, the working title is Allegedly. It's about 11 women who existed in history, but the details about them are just crazy. When it comes to sources, they were sources written by men, right? Sources written, and I'm talking like primary sources, like there is a hair and I can't get it and it's driving me crazy. So I apologize so much that I'm like rubbing my face, but there is a hair like somewhere on my face that's tickling me and it's like a traveling hair. So anyway, the book. It's called Allegedly. That's the working title. It's about 11 women who um, existed, truly existed, but their primary sources are a little questionable. Like, there are primary sources that were written 300 years after the woman existed, and it was written by a warring neighboring country, right? Like, we're really calling this primary source a credible source of information. You know what I mean? So, it's going to have an essay of sorts about interpreting women's history because for so long women were not included in history, were footnotes in history, were margins in history, were barely in history, if at all. I think it's really important to discuss women's history, regardless of it being from ancient times to contemporary times. Like, women get the shaft on everything all the time. And I just wanted to do these women justice. So these were women that were shelved from my podcast due to the weirdness of primary sources and due to the weirdness of sources in general about them. So that's the book that I'm working on. So it's kind of chaotic and crazy, and there's a lot of countries and time periods that I have to do research on. So I have officially decided, I was debating if I was going to do this, but I have officially decided I'm going to hire a research assistant to help me through this because now that I'm going back to work full time and I'm going to have 60 less hours, I'm going to need the help. I'm going to need the help. So if you know anyone, drop them in the comments. But yeah, this is something that I decided earlier today that I'm definitely going to hire a research assistant. My goal was to be able to hand in a manuscript by the end of this summer. I don't know if that's still going to happen. It depends on the research assistant, right? It depends on how fast I'm writing on my weekends. And there's a lot of it depends. I feel like a lawyer. That's a lawyer joke if you're a lawyer out there. It depends. It depends. So, it really does depend on a bunch of variables as to what I'm looking at here. So I will keep you guys posted. I said I would keep you posted about the book. Here's an update about the book. And wish me luck with it, because I just want to do these women right when it comes to their history and their stories being told. And I I want to do right by myself in terms of the book that I am writing, and do a really good job. So, um, there's a lot of things that I want to get right about this book, and I will keep you posted. I've talked to a publisher; they're very interested in it. So it's really cool what's happening, but it's going to take time. I have to research, and I have to write it, and I have to work with a research assistant to help me get the information so I can write it. So it's just there's a lot happening in the background with that, but that has not dropped off, because that is like a huge, huge goal of mine, a huge dream of mine, is to be able to walk into Barnes and Nobles and just see one of my books on the shelf, or walk into an independent, women owned bookstore and just be like, I wrote this women's history book. Like they're cool dreams that I have, and they don't end there, but that's definitely one of them. And I really wanted to do this episode because I get weird about sharing things about myself on the internet, but I've also become so comfortable with YouTube and just how great YouTube has been. I wanted to share this with the entrepreneurial community that I am building, because, this episode I feel is so relatable. The juggle is real, the struggle is real, and the guilt is real that you feel like you're not doing enough on both sides, both for your business and for your job, or you feel like you're not doing enough for your family because you're doing too much for your business. Like, there's a lot of guilt that comes with this. And the plan does not have to be pretty, right? It just has to exist and be workable for your actual time available to you. And that is something I have preached many times on this channel. So that is something that I'm making sure that I am doing for myself, and making sure that I'm not going to screw that up. I'm not going to sit here and go like, well, obviously with 3 days, that means I have exactly 72 hours. I don't. I need to sleep. I need to have a life with my husband. And, there's all these things going on. So, um, I just, you know, I'm, I get it, right? Like, I was working full time for so long, and I put my entrepreneurial life on hold. And then I had this opportunity to kind of dive into the entrepreneurial life full time, because I had no choice but to be home. And now that I'm cleared to go back to work, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm juggling again. I am, and I want to get it. I don't want to mess this up, because the momentum is starting to build. The momentum is starting to be there. Um, so you might see some changes with the scheduling of my stuff. I might start scheduling it so it drops like early in the morning, instead of me posting like really late at night, which there's nothing wrong with that. But, um, I also want you to know that I'm figuring this out alongside you. And I get it. Like, I get the struggle. I get we have priorities, we have responsibilities, we have concerns about leaping into the financial uneasiness and unknowns of being an entrepreneur, right? And I'm just not ready to make that leap just yet, but I am planning to make that leap, right? Um, sans car accident, I was planning to make that leap, but then, everything went to supplementing um the lack of me working. So now that I'm going back to work, I'll be able to build myself back up financially and savings wise, so that I can take a step back from working full time and working as an entrepreneur full time. So I'll get there. You'll get there. We'll get there. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be so good. So I also hope you like this mood lighting. Um, I touched up the purple in my hair, and I was playing around with the lights a little bit. So I just thought my hair looked really good in the light, and I was like, I'm not changing it. I'm not changing it for anyone. So moving forward, I might have some mood lighting. I used to have mood lighting in some episodes, but it was like purple. It was like, or blue or something like that. Like, it was like really intense and saturated, but I like this, like with the ring light in the back, it's giving it more of a controlled lighting setting, instead of it being like way too purpley. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I am. Um, but yeah, so tomorrow I go back to work and I'm nervous about it, but and you know why now? And but I'm going to keep going and this is going to be such a positive thing. It's a restructuring of my life, and it also shows that I'm healing enough that I can go back to work, which I think is like a really positive thing that I've been cleared to go back to work, right? Like, finally I passed evaluations and um it that makes me very happy because I've been working so hard in therapies and stuff like that, like cognitive therapy and balance therapy and um just all these things going on, um, that were unexpected, such as having my gallbladder removed and having a couple other procedures thrown in there that were unexpected. And yeah, so to heal and be healed enough to go back to work, that means a lot to me. Um, in the physically healed aspect, it means a lot to me that I'm doing really good. So, um, but yeah, please do not forget about the mess hall launching on April 25th. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see you there. And then Hot Mess Triage, where that is my one-on-one business coaching service where I help you with your blog, starting your business, getting a 30-day plan together for you, whatever it is that you're looking for, some clarity, some direction. I'm here for you guys. So please book a call with me. You can use the link in my bio that leads to my Stan store. All the information is in there for the mess hall, for Hot Mess Triage. You can book me, join the session, and I'm so excited to see where this is going to go. I'm being very positive about it. I hope you can tell. I'm nervous, but I'm being positive about it because if I'm not positive about it, then I'm not doing myself a great job. I'm doing myself a disservice by not being positive about it. So I'm going to be positive about it. But thank you so much for watching. Please like this video. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you guys next time.